dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record.
Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Friday, the 26th day of July 2019. We're coming to you a little bit late this morning, late start, but better late than never. And so we're here this morning. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday and Wednesday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. This morning, it is that radio voice of DJ Lynn. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. If you don't like to talk on the telephone, then email us at For the Record. That is one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us on 925-3261, where we encourage you to send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And, of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. Today is Friday, and it is the day that is reserved for the official opposition, and we expect to have some of them in the studio during the course of the show, probably after the 8 o'clock news. We know that the Legislative Assembly is sitting at this week, started on Wednesday, and I'm not sure what time they finished last night, but we expect members of the opposition to be on the show. Meanwhile, what we will have is we will have our phone lines open for you to call in. If you have any questions, any concerns, we certainly would be prepared to entertain those, or you may want to wait until my guests are in the studio, and you may then have questions for them as well. For those of you who are traveling on the roads this morning, again, we want to urge you to be extremely careful, ensure that you observe the rules of the road, and to remember that the life you save may be your own. Speaking about the roads of the Cayman Islands, we continue to hear people talk about the seemingly lawlessness that goes on in the roads of the Cayman Islands. We see the jump in the number of reported accidents on the roads, and that increase can be attributed to several things, including the lack of experience, what I consider also the possibility that the driving test is not as stringent as it should be. The roads of the Cayman Islands are not becoming any easier to drive on, especially with the preponderance of roundabouts on the island. And they're not just simple roundabouts anymore. They're roundabouts with multiple entries and exits, and many people are not familiar with them. Bearing in mind that many of the people who are driving on the roads of the Cayman Islands, especially those persons who come to work here, many of them have never been behind the steering wheel of an automobile before coming to the Cayman Islands. That needs to be borne in mind. We see the number of traffic accidents in other jurisdictions, places like Jamaica, and the same holds true as well. The only difference is that in places like Jamaica, they may not have as many people there coming from other jurisdictions, but even the Jamaicans themselves, because of the relatively ease of obtaining automobiles now, cheap automobiles, people who have never seen or been behind the wheel of an automobile before are now driving them. They don't understand the rules of the road. They don't understand and appreciate the dangers that they expose themselves and others to as well. So hence we see a huge increase in the number of automobile accidents and the number of automobile fatalities on the road. Not to mention the lack of, in many instances, certificates of roadworthiness and vehicles not being registered, and even more important, one that exposes the public to all sorts of difficulties, lack of motor vehicle insurance. Now, I was talking to someone just recently, only last night, and they were speaking of another jurisdiction, for instance, in New York. The moment your insurance lapses, the insurance company directly and immediately informs the Department of Vehicle Licensing that your insurance has lapsed. As a result of that, DMV then has that information, and it puts them in a position to take whatever necessary steps there are. If it means canceling the registration or whatever, it happens. My question is, does that happen in the Cayman Islands? Because we find more and more people exposed to drivers not having insurance, damage to vehicle, damage to property, injury, personal injury as well, and very little recourse because the person does not have insurance. So then you have to look towards bringing civil action against the individual. We're exposing ourselves, we are exposing law-abiding citizens to all of these issues, and my question is, how can we go about remedying that as well? I'll leave that question on the table. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation on For the Record will continue, so please stay tuned.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
In 1904, Cayman Brac turtling captain and boat builder Daniel Jervis built a prototype Caymanian catboat named Terra, an obvious improvement on the previous canoe-style boats of the day. The Caymanian catboat was on average 16 feet long and drew no more than 8 inches of water. Painted in their distinctive catboat blue color, it provided effective camouflage when seen from below, permitting the crew to discreetly approach turtles.
Radio Cayman's Historical Facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
When you need stability, think Business of the Year.
Considering a new career opportunity, think Best Place to Work.
When dependability matters, think Outstanding Workforce.
In need of a reliable financial partner? Think Bank of the Year.
When you seek excellence, think Cayman National.
No matter how many accomplishments we achieve, we always set the bar higher. That's why we are the most awarded bank in Cayman, and we are proud to be your
2018 Bank of the Year.
Have you seen the latest? Cayman has been ranked the most expensive place to live. It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Ropers Janitorial also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. I just love the warm ocean air.
Yeah? Your car doesn't.
What you mean?
Looks like salt air is eating your bump alive.
Stop rust before it starts with Z-Bot Rust Protection from Vant Motors. The extreme heat, salt spray, and wet tropical weather can damage your vehicle and greatly decrease its value. But Z-Bot's patented formula protects your car's metal seams, joints, and other hidden areas. There's no better rust protection out there than Z-Bot. So book today and keep the rust away. Call or visit Vant Motors Body Shop on Walkers Road. Your only authorized Z-Bot service in Cayman is now available at Vant Motors.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All-Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Have you ever felt that there is something bigger out there for you? Something more positive, something more powerful, something all good, something bigger than yourself? Do you want to give back to this community, your community? Together, Rotary Central, Rotary Sunrise, and the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman are hosting a membership meet and greet social Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. Come along. Bring a friend. Find out what Rotary is all about, what Rotary is doing in your community. So, see you there, Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. We're looking forward to meeting you. Rotary, connecting the world.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. No guest in the studio yet. Hopefully, after the 8 o'clock news, we will have some representatives from the official opposition. It is their Friday. Friday has been reserved for them to be on the show. Meanwhile, we have open mic and ready to discuss anything that you want to talk about. Not too much time left before we go to the 8 o'clock news. This first half an hour of the show is pretty squeezed, but we have until 10 o'clock, so there will be much to be discussed. You heard me earlier talking about the vehicles on the road. I spoke about the exposure that law-abiding citizens are placed, the exposure that they face as a result of unlicensed, uninsured vehicles being driven on the roads of the Cayman Islands. What can we do to get those persons off the roads of the Cayman Islands? We hear people complain in the morning about slow traffic when the police are out there trying to enforce these things. Sometimes we have to endure inconveniences in order to ensure that we are protected. So sometimes you have to swallow the bitter with the sweet, but it is becoming an increasingly prominent problem in the Cayman Islands. Vehicle accidents, uninsured vehicles, unlicensed vehicles, crazy drivers on the road. All of those make for a very explosive combination. And like I said, it can prove extremely costly to individuals who are exposed to that, because it means either bringing civil action against someone who doesn't have the wherewithal to, if you do receive a favorable judgment against that person, who does not have the wherewithal to even compensate you for your losses. So we can only rely on the authorities to get these people off the roads, have the flatbed trucks, have the tow trucks ready. When you pull someone over, and if that car is uninsured, that driver should not be allowed to drive away from that spot, because what if you allow them to drive away and then a few miles down the road there's an accident again and there's a fatality? My question would be then, is the government, is the police complicit in terms of that accident afterwards by allowing an uninsured or an unregistered vehicle to continue on the roads after they have stopped them and cited them for that violation? I believe we have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Wasi, Mario Ebanks. How are you doing?
Good morning, Mr. Mario. How are you, sir?
Very good, sir. Very good. Good morning to the listeners, and a beautiful day in the Cayman Islands, and thank God the hurricane season is still pretty uneventful, and God is good to us.
We're extremely thankful for that, certainly.
Yes. I really appreciate what you're just talking about, the traffic situation and the reckless, what some people call code blue drivers that are on the streets, and what we need to do in terms of enforcement. I support that 100%. I mean, I've been thinking actually over the last several months that we may. I mean, there's a whole plethora, a whole bunch of things that we need to do about traffic strategies. I mean, we're doing a lot of roads improvements and widening and all that, but unless we have other strategies which we need to have a national conversation about, and some of those strategies are popular, some are not going to be popular, but if we don't do it, we're going to all have to park our cars and walk, because we can't get anywhere. So we need to have a strategy. But what you're talking about, the reckless driving and people and the disorder in terms of lawlessness that's going on is very serious. I mean, I've been thinking, as I said over the last few months, that we may even need to start thinking about giving people a cooling off period when they first come to this island. That they shouldn't drive until they understand our culture of driving and I mean common sense safety. Because there's some people, especially some of those minibus drivers and drivers and tour bus drivers and stuff, that they really are putting themselves, the other drivers, other road users, and their own passengers in harm's way by the way that they're driving. And they come here and they get a license to drive because the public transport authority gives them a license, and they're let loose on our roads. And I think we need to have them get a proper orientation or a cooling off period where they observe. I mean, that's going to be difficult because they're supposed to be making money for the bus owner companies. But I think we need to do something because, I mean, I see a lot of near misses and accidents and near disasters on our roads because of those same people. Not saying that our Caymanians not guilty as well.
Oh, yes, they are.
Some mornings at 6 o'clock, 6:30, you see some of the highways and bypasses are raised tracks. And many of our Caymanians, young and old, they're doing it. But I see a lot of these code blue drivers that we need to definitely strategize on. So I appreciate what you're saying. But what I call this morning for, just briefly, as the Chief HR Officer of the Airports Authority, I just want to draw your attention to a couple of things. In the Compass this morning, and also it'll be in the Caymanian Times next week. There's a job on page C14, classified employment advertising, about Caymanians with a passion sought for a new career opportunity as electronic engineering officer trainee. This is a fantastic opportunity for a young Caymanian who has the eligibility requirements and who really wants to be trained at the authority's expense and to be developed into a great career as an electronic engineering officer. At the Airports Authority, we have a department that is called Communications, Navigations and Surveillance. Very important to support the air traffic control services of the Cayman Islands and the region. And right now we're struggling to have Caymanians into that area. Wow. So we have a few Caymanians in that department, but we also have, for the first time, a couple of expats as well. So we're trying now to get to re-energize ourselves to get Caymanians attracted and developed, but we're having difficulty finding those people.
Mr. Mario, I'm going to interrupt you because I have about 10 seconds before we go to the 8 o'clock news. But can you call back after around about 8:10, 8:15, because we'd like to really get this information out there for our listening audience. Can you do that for us?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Mario. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
All right. Thank you, Mr. O.C. The time is now 8 a.m. Brought to you by Price Right.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Access information. Your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. The price of water is going up for some local customers. Water Authority Cayman announced the increase in the rates for water, sewage, and septic services on Thursday, and customers will see the 1.46 rate adjustment reflected on their July bill. Under the adjusted rate structure, the fee for the first 12 cubic meters consumed each month will increase by 7 cents per cubic meter, from $4.49 to $4.56. and 8 cents from $5.71 to $5.79 on each cubic meter thereafter. In Cayman Brac, residential piped water customers will see an increase of 9 cents from $6.12 to $6.21 on each cubic meter, and trucked water customers will see an increase of 11 cents from $7.66 to $7.77. Sewage rates increase from 1.648 to 1.672. The rate for septic disposal charge to septic truckers has increased from $16.773 per 1,000 U.S. gallons to $17.018. Deputy Director Tom Van Zanten says the rate adjustment is necessary for continued investment in the authority's water and wastewater infrastructure.
The country is growing and developing at a rapid pace, and the authority needs to ensure we do not only keep up, but also plan and build with the future in mind. The rate adjustment is necessary to invest in our infrastructure to ensure proper and adequate operations in the years to come.
For more information about the increase, as well as for tips to conserve water, head to waterauthority.ky. And government has announced the dates for Carnival 2020. In July, a written communication addressing the proposal of Cayman Carnival dates was sent to stakeholders involved for review. The response was not received favorably of hosting the Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac Road Parades on the same weekend. The Ministry of Culture then took many things into consideration when determining the dates for next year's event. The first weekend in May falls in line with the Bahamas Carnival, leaving Cayman at a disadvantage for those same international tourism dollars. The second weekend in May falls on Mother's Day, and the third weekend conflicts with the Bacchanal Carnival. The conclusion? The dates will be as originally announced. First weekend of May, Junior Carnival. Second weekend of May, Cayman Carnival. And the third weekend, Discovery Day, Bacchanal. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with David Austin. The UN Human Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet says the international community appears to be giving a collective shrug to the rising violence by Syrian government forces and their allies. She said it was highly unlikely that schools and hospitals were being hit by accident. Hundreds of pro-democracy protesters are holding a sit-in at Hong Kong's international airport in an effort to raise global awareness of their concerns. The protesters are condemning attacks by suspected gang members on anti-government protesters last week. Britain's media regulator has fined the Russian government-funded international broadcaster RT $250,000 for breaching impartiality rules. RT has asked for and has been granted a judicial review. The Foreign Minister of Ireland, Simon Coveney, has strongly criticised the new British Prime Minister Boris Johnson for his Brexit policy, calling it very unhelpful. Mr Johnson has called for the abolition of the backstop, the contingency measure that would keep a soft border in Ireland. 3 federal judges in Switzerland have come out in favour of the country's tax authorities handing over sensitive data to the French government, making it likely that the bank, UBS, will lose a landmark case over the issue. The judges are set to rule on whether the identities of more than 40,000 UBS bank account holders should be revealed to the French authorities. Twitter has announced a significant rise in profits for this year's second quarter. They've come in at $1.1 billion. A Bosnian football player who plays for Arsenal is being hailed as a hero on social media for helping fight off 2 armed robbers who targeted him and a teammate in a suspected carjacking. Sead Kolasinac was being driven by the German star Mesut Ozil in London when the incident occurred. That's the latest BBC News.
Access and information. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
If your business is over here, but your customers are over here, adding more yellow to your business will bring you both right here. With everyone searching yellows, print, online, and mobile app, getting your business noticed is easier than ever. Book your consultation today at findyellow.com.
Have you ever felt that there is something bigger out there for you? Something more positive, something more powerful, something all good, something bigger than yourself. Do you want to give back to this community? Your community? Together, Rotary Central, Rotary Sunrise, and the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman are hosting a membership meet and greet social Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. Come along. Bring a friend. Find out what Rotary is all about, what Rotary is doing in your community. So, see you there, Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. We're looking forward to meeting you. Rotary, connecting the world.
Summer means sunscreen, a lot of it. But this year, you can make the reef-friendly choice in sunscreen. At Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor's Square and Grand Harbor, you can find Ocean Potion and Australian Gold Botanical Sunscreen. Ocean Potion is reef-friendly, oxybenzone-free, antioxidant-enriched, and contains no added parabens. Australian Gold is also phthalate-free, hypoallergenic, and was not tested on animals. So make the right choice in sunscreen this summer with Healthcare Pharmacy, Governor's Square and Grand Harbor.
The Weather Report is proudly sponsored by Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
New stock has just arrived at Super Stitch. Now don't take my word for it. Drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Super Stitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Super Stitch, 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Good morning. This is the National Weather Forecast prepared by the Cayman Islands National Weather Service and brought to you in part by Super Stitch. Latest weather updates indicates 84 degrees outside. Winds currently at northeast 8 knots. Barometric pressure at 1017.1 millibars and rising. Current humidity is at 85%. Synopsis indicate isolated showers are expected over the Cayman area for the next 24 hours as a weak tropical wave moves the western Caribbean. Radar images show isolated showers southwest of the Cayman area moving west. Forecast for today, partly cloudy skies, 30% chances of evening showers. Temperatures expected to rise to the low 90s. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas expected to be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Taking a look at tonight, expect partly cloudy skies, 30% chances of showers as well as possible thunder. Temperatures expected to fall to the upper 70s. Winds will be east to northeast, 5 to 10 knots. Seas expected to be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Currently we're at a high tide. Low tide takes place today at 11:14 a.m. and high tide again at 6:29 p.m. Sunset in the Cayman Islands, 7:02 p.m. Sunrise tomorrow, 6:01 a.m. Outlook through Sunday mornings for similar weather conditions. Additional information, please visit the website www.weather.gov.ky. This has been the official weather public forecast brought to you by the Cayman Islands National Weather Service and brought to you in part by Super Stitch.
Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center was a proud sponsor of the Weather Report, your one-stop shop for all of your household items, craft items, jewelry, beads, and decorations, and much more. Call Super Stitch at 949-2833 or email customer care at superstitch.com.ky.
New stock has just arrived at Super Stitch. Now don't take my word for it. Drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Superstitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Superstitch, 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Hurry on down to Tomlinson Furniture for the Super Sofa Savings. Check out the beautiful collection of sofas, love seats, and futons, all for amazing prices. This much-anticipated deal is now here and going quickly, so hurry while supplies last. Tomlinson Furniture has exclusive quality furniture that adds style and comfort to your home. While you are there, pick up a rug, a lamp, or a TV stand to complete your look. Tomlinson Furniture at the corner of Hospital and Walker's Road. Great looks, best prices, always.
There are plenty of reasons to be a Logic customer. There's lightning-fast internet connectivity. There's the great overall customer experience. And now, you can improve your Wi-Fi connectivity with Logic Boost Wi-Fi for free. With Boost, you can extend your freedom to stream, game, and download seamlessly anywhere in your home, like your patio or your underground lair if you have one. Sign up now for any Logic Bundle package and get free Boost Wi-Fi for a limited time. Visit logic.ky for details.
Always ensure that food preparation utensils are washed with a strong detergent and rinsed in hot water in the event that they have made contact with flood water. Boil silverware for 10 minutes and immerse glass, porcelain, china, and plastic items in a solution of hot water and 10% chlorine bleach before use. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
And a pleasant good morning to our drivers out on the road. Coming in from the east. Look at the cameras and outside. Moderate flow of traffic as you head on towards Lansing Point area. Things begin to pick up as you head on towards the Kings and Linford Pearson Highway. Smooth flow of traffic in and around the C&B roundabout area as well. Taking a look at the Butterfield roundabout. Moderate flow of traffic in all directions. Things begin to slow down in the Industrial Park area, however. Clear flowing traffic by Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue. Coming in from the west, no problems at all. No incidents to report at this time. If you happen to see something, please remember to give us a call, 949-6990. And buckle up and be safe on outside. Stay tuned for The Record is up next.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after.
Brit K protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after.
Visit BritK.ky or call 949-8699.
BritK, where people come first.
It's big, it's hot, and it's sizzling. Take 20% off all fabric at Superstitch. 3 days only. Thursday, July 25th, Friday, July 26th, and Saturday, July 27th. Fabric for dresses, fabric for skirts, fabric for blouses. Superstitch even has fabric to cover your chairs and your what's it not.
No, me what's it not.
It's the biggest fabric clearance of the year, so don't miss it. 20% off fabric. Superstitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the Record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Before I introduce my guest, we're talking about the traffic situation, and I have received a WhatsApp message to remind our listeners that there is an amnesty on vehicles with as far as back licensing is concerned, and that drivers or vehicle owners have until November the 1st to update outdated vehicles. That's as far as licensing is concerned. But one of the concerns expressed this morning was also the lack of insurance for vehicles as well. And of course, this has absolutely nothing to do with that. So there is an amnesty as far as unlicensed vehicles, and you have until the 1st of November to update those. It has nothing to do with insurance. You are required to have insurance to be on the roads of the road to ensure that not only you that are protected, but third parties are protected as well. We have Mr. Mario's call back. Before I go to the phone line to Mr. Mario, I just want to introduce our guest, and it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning none other than Mr. Kenneth Bryan, member who represents Georgetown Central in our Legislative Assembly, a very busy Legislative Assembly this week as well. Mr. Bryan, good morning, sir. Welcome back to For the Record.
Thank you, Mr. Connor, Mr. Moderator, as they are now calling you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's always good to be able to have dialogue with the people of the country, so I'm happy to be here, and I hope that everybody woke up blessed this morning. And I want to say a special shout out to my constituents in Georgetown Central and those particularly in Kimmerbrook and across the whole country. I hope to get through a couple of things this morning in respect to the Legislative Assembly, but I know you have a caller, so once we finish with that call, I can go through some of those things with the listening audience.
Certainly. Good morning again, Mr. Mario. Welcome back, sir. Thanks for being so patient.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. O.C., and also good morning, MLA Kenneth Bryan. Thanks very much for giving me a couple of minutes. I'll just be very brief. I know that talking previously about traffic, so hopefully Mr. Bryan heard some of that, and he can also discuss what we can do about some solutions, long-term, short-term, monetary and non-monetary solutions. What I was calling about was the opportunities at the Airports Authority for young Caymanians, and I was telling you, Mr. O.C., and I called previously that on page C14 in today's Compass, classified as the ad for an electronic engineering officer trainee. The ad tries to capture the essence of the job. It's a very good opportunity for a Caymanian who has the aptitude and interest in that area, and we want to definitely encourage applicants. We've been trying to fill this role for a while now, and we're having some challenges with getting people to apply who are interested and suitable for it. So hopefully this time around we'll get some good applicants, Caymanian applicants. Again, it's on page C14, and it'll be on the Caymanian Times as well, and on our website and Facebook, so social media for the authority. And also, you're reaching out to the Scholarship Secretariat of Government to work on NWDA and also SciFec and UCCI. So we're reaching out to a lot of the pipeline for talent, and we want to encourage people to apply. The other opportunity that we have at the Airports Authority is the Airport Customer Service Ambassadors. Those are people that, if you go to the airport, you may see them walking around and assisting and talking to travelers and others. They have nice tropical shirts on and hats and whatnot, but we need about 20, and we only have, I think, about 8 now, and they're again for Caymanians and those with, who can qualify. And they are not employees; these are independent contractors. But they have a contract, and they're fixed, and they have their fixed hourly rate of $11 per hour, and so it's a good opportunity. So again, we're looking for people in that. So if individuals know about that, hear about that, are interested and have the time, whether it's part time or full time, they should contact the Airports Authority at 943-7070. And they can speak to Miss Bianca Moore Downey or Ms. Evis Matuti. And the final opportunity that I want to stress this morning again for young Caymanians is air traffic control trainees. You all will remember well that we have had to bring in a number of foreign air traffic controllers for the first time in many years because of regulatory requirements. But we're obviously matching those work permit holders with young Caymanians, and we have a batch of 4 expat controllers now. And we have matched them with 4 Caymanian trainees, and those trainees are going off to Trinidad in September, October for 6 months for training. And then we hope to bring on another batch, which we're recruiting for now, of Caymanian trainees as well in October, and they will go through the same regime to eventually replace the foreign contracted controllers. So we've got a couple of things going, but I really want to just use your excellent medium this morning to encourage young Caymanians to look at that ad on page C14. And I know that Mr. Kenneth is also very keen about Caymanian human capital development, so I'm sure he'll do his bit to push it also. But I just thank you for your opportunity this morning to use your radio waves.
Question before you go, Mr. Mario. In terms of the trainee air traffic controllers, it seems as if the response has been pretty positive from applicants. Is that the case?
Well, yes, but there's a test, some testing, and there's some assessments because that's a very serious.
Precisely, yes.
Yeah, so we have we struggle to get the amount that we need. We're fortunate after about 2 years of trying and testing and reaching out to get 4 good ones in earlier this year. I think it was January, February, and they're progressing very well. And now we are in the process of testing another cohort, and we hope to get another 4 good ones out of that cohort. And we're testing about 25 or 26, and we're hoping that we can get at least 4 good ones out of that we can move forward and bring them on board in October. So we'll have 8 Caymanian trainees then matched with potentially 8 non-Caymanian air traffic controllers, and eventually within 2 or 3 years Caymanize the department once again.
Okay, that's good. Now, Mr. Mario, I know you're an HR specialist, but you mentioned the testing part of it. Are there any plans possibly to set up some sort of a program where you can orient and you can give some basic training to potential applicants so that when it comes to the testing phase, that they're likely to be a little bit more successful if they have some background information? Or would you rely on, say, the school's technical classes or whatever to see whether or not potential applicants could be identified?
That's a very good question. We are actually working with, we've been working with SciFec and UCCI to actually help us identify people who have the aptitude and the interest in those areas. But the actual test, the test is not specific to air traffic control.
Okay.
Or not. It's basically, I wouldn't say common sense, but it's just using logic, directions, using some basic math, using some basic assumptions and soft skills. So it's not really a technical test.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. But of course, some of these soft competencies can stump anybody. So even you and I taking that, But it's not a difficult test. It's just some people have to just pay attention, use logic, and use their good high school education or junior college education, and they can do well. But it's just a question of being able to use their grey matter and to apply themselves.
Mr. Ebanks, before you go, can I just ask you what's the salary range for that job?
For the air traffic control trainee, or
yeah.
Well, it starts at 19,200 and goes to 37,000 per annum. But for that trainee, now remember, they're paid for the 6 months that they're overseas. They're paid full salary. All their school fees are paid, and they're giving
allowance,
rent allowance, and for rent and food and all that. So, and then once they qualify as licensed controllers, then their salary increases significantly. So it's not a bad deal at all for a trainee.
And in the Cayman airport ambassadors, I remember the last time having a discussion about this, there was indications that they would have to have their own insurance and own pension matters dealt with on their own because they're a private contractor. Right. Is that still the same case?
That's still the same thing, sir, because these are independent contractors, and for us as an authority to comply with the labor, health insurance, and pension law, we need to make sure that those people who work for us or are contracted by us are complying with the law as well, those laws as well. So, but what we have done is worked, what Ms. Bianca and Ms. Evis have done, they have worked with the Department of Commerce to help the business license process to be very streamlined, and of course it's very cheap. It's $75 per year for your business license as a sole proprietor. So that part is okay. And then they should have health insurance in the house. Some of them do have insurance because they may work other jobs.
But most people in the country get their insurance from their job.
Right, but if
so you're basically asking somebody to create their own business. A single person but I understand, and I'm not going to debate that point because it's still the same situation. I know you're trying to avoid having to create any more obligations to the airport authority, particularly with the up and down of that position as ambassadors. Because I know a few key persons from the Georgetown Central area who would love that. They're enthusiastic about what Cayman stands for. I guess it's for me as a legislator to just try to get them sorted out to start their own business.
Yep. Navigate them through
that
process,
problem.
Yeah.
Right.
But the insurance, with $11 an hour, one would realize that you're not really getting $11 an hour anymore, because you got to pay for your own insurance and your own pension, and that can bring it back down to about $7.50 or so per hour. Yeah. So there's a false narrative, not intentional, but a false narrative as actually to what you're going to be receiving. Because if you're getting $11 an hour on a regular job, but you're being paid pension and health, that's totally different than this case, because you're not going to get $11 an hour.
Right. Well, of course, in regular jobs also the employee pays half of the pension at least, and also half of the health insurance premium. So they're not taking home their base pay; they're taking home a net pay. So it's not that different. It's just that in this case, these people are totally contractors, so they pay the 100% of the health insurance or pension. But it's an opportunity for folks, and we'd like to pay more, but of course, we have to be prudent and frugal and with public's money, and we think it's a fair salary, and it's a very important job for people that want to be in the front lines, to be ambassadors for the country, and also to have a very interesting, happy job.
And it would be attractive also to people who are retired, especially, for instance, former civil servants who are retired, because they're likely to already have their medical, free medical from government, so they don't have that overhead, right? They don't have to pay pensions because they're already retired. Pretty attractive for someone who wants that job. In terms of the amount of time spent, how many hours are you talking about per day or per week?
But it depends. We want to try to get most of them deployed during the peak period during the day. So between sort of 11 till 2-3 o'clock is the period. So that'll be most of it. But we won't have people around all the time because there are other flights throughout the day.
Right.
And the profile of person that you just spoke about are some of those that we have on as ambassadors now. Those who are retired from public sector or private sector, people who like to talk to people who like to promote Cayman, who like to solve problems, who have a good personality and can reach out and are friendly and are aware. Those are the kind of people that we're looking for, and it's a sweet job, but it doesn't pay. I get richer from it, but it's a good supplement, and it could grow into something else. If somebody comes in and that's their only job and they prove themselves, they could really open doors for a significant, exciting career.
One last question, Mr. Ebanks, and I think you may know this because you've gone through the process. With a single entity business license that they'd have to have, isn't there a provision in the under the DCI that you may not have to pay pension because you're a sole owner? I think there's something.
I'm not aware of that.
All right, I'll find out.
You can self-certify that you have pension and health insurance, but you're still required to
do so by law. Yeah. Right. All right, Mr. Ebanks, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ebanks. What I'll do is I've found this classified ad here, and I will read it if the opportunity allows me to, because too many times we hear our Caymanians complain about opportunities not being out there for them. They have to learn to take advantage of those opportunities when they're there as well, and this one is a clear opportunity for Caymanian. Thank you very much, Mr. Mario. You have a great day.
Okay.
Folks, please stay tuned. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation with MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan will continue.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes. Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Have you ever felt that there is something bigger out there for you? Something more positive, something more powerful, something all good, something bigger than yourself? Do you want to give back to this community? Your community? Together, Rotary Central, Rotary Sunrise, and the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman are hosting a membership meet and greet social Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. Come along. Bring a friend. Find out what Rotary is all about, what Rotary is doing in your community. So, see you there, Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. We're looking forward to meeting you. Rotary, connecting the world.
Cayman is going to Carfesta 2019 this summer. Get a sneak peek preview of all performances we'll be doing in Trinidad. 2 weekends only at the Hartwell Theatre. Music and dance shows on Saturday the 20th of July and Sunday the 21st of July. The touching play, Downside Up, written by Frank McPhail on Saturday, July 27th and Sunday, July 28th. Tickets are just $25 per person per show. Purchase at Foster's Airport and Strand, Funky Tangs, Healthcare Pharmacy Grand Harbor, the CNCF office, and online at eventpro.ky.
Hey Cayman, this is Caitlin Tyson, your Miss Cayman Islands Universe 2018. It's that time again, so come out and meet your favorite contestants at this year's sashing ceremony. Each of the ladies will have the chance to connect with you and share their personal stories featuring their sponsors. Friday, the 26th, starting at 6:30 p.m. at Grand Old House. Admission is free. We'll be unveiling all of this year's sponsors for the 2019 Miss Cayman Islands Universe contestants. Mix, mingle, and show your support for your district. We hope to see you there.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It's my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan. Mr. Bryan.
Morning again, Mr. Connor. I want to go over a few of those things. I want to first, before I go on to that, thank the last caller. Yes. That was a positive conversation about a positive topic, and hopefully we can contribute to getting some Caymanians selected for those posts. But also to say, on behalf of the other members of the opposition, they had a few other arrangements this morning in preparation for the Legislative Assembly, and that's why they're not here. My intention today is to go through what has transpired so far in the Legislative Assembly in the last 2 days, and some of them are pretty newsworthy and stuff that I think that the public would want to know. Some of them I see is already hitting the newspaper. In one of the local newspapers today, I see one of my questions and the answer by the minister in respect to the national ID has already hit the papers. So, but there's some things that may not have hit the papers, and I think it's important that I inform you about them.
Sure.
So the first one, which you can probably find in the paper yourself, is a question that I put to the Honourable Minister Joey Hugh in respect to the national ID plan. And it's encouraging to know that the government is intending to try to implement a national ID between now and the next election. And that ID is hopefully or planned to be a collection of information all on one card, from the fact that whether you're Caymanian or not, whether you're a voter or not, could potentially be a driver's license, could potentially have information about, your health situation, a card that can inform everybody about a lot of your particulars and your information about your life. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the process that the government is going through right now is to make sure that they can do that in a safe way, because obviously that information it has to be protected in a proper right way. But I was happy to hear the response by the minister in respect to the administrators and the technocrats and what they're doing and how close we are to it. Some of the things that I think is interesting to know, though, is they have not confirmed yet whether or not this is a card that we'll all have to pay for. I think it should be something that is free. Also, most people, when they think about national ID, they think about fingerprinting. And the minister has indicated that there's no intention at this particular point to have any fingerprinting involved in the national ID process. So that's just a little bit of information. There's more technical stuff, but just to give you a sneak peek of that.
Can we stay with the national ID
yes.
for a minute, just to say, it says for all residents of the Cayman Islands.
Yes.
Will that include work permit holders? Because the immigration law had provisions in it for identification card to be issued to work permit holders.
Well,
is that still in force? Because
I'm not sure whether the current situation mandates work permit holders to have an ID. I can't say I know the answer to that, but I'll just read you exactly what the minister said. Sure. It says, Mr. Speaker, I'm also proud to inform all members of this honorable House that the work has started on a register of national persons, which is a key prerequisite project to uniquely document all residents of our islands electronically, scheduled to be completed by the second quarter of next year, and consolidated list of natural persons within our islands, excluding visitors, will be derived from the general registry system and the immigration work system. So what that tells me is visitors will not be on it, but the other two categories are natural persons, which are Caymanians, and the other categorization is not natural persons. Let me just make sure. All residents. So if you're a work permit holder, you are a resident. So that tells me, and we obviously hashed that out in the question, that it's going to be work permit holders and Caymanians, excluding visitors, because visitors are only here for a short period of time. So
that's going to be kind of tricky, though. I would have preferred to see the work permit IDs issued by the department that has responsibility for that, and separate that out from the rest. The issues with that is that, for instance, you have people who are permanent. Let's say if you're going to issue identification card, national identification cards for permanent residence holders and Caymanians. That's one thing. The Caymanian is always going to be a Caymanian, most likely, unless they lose their status for some reason or the other. Permanent resident, much the same, unless for some reason they lose their permanent resident. The work permit holders, they're so transitory. That are you going to be able to keep up with all of those changes? Leave that to the immigration department, work permit, so that when a work permit is cancelled, they cancel.
Yeah,
they cancel the national identification card.
That's something that should be raised, because you're right.
You have to take a really good look at that.
Yeah, a person could get their work permit today and say, I don't like Cayman no more, and they'll be here 3 months and they're gone. I know we've done away with the 3 months. So in respect to work permits, are these quick?
But you could still have a work permit for a year or 2 years, and in 3 months' time, you'll decide that you leave.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And I definitely will bring that to the attention of the minister, and I'm almost certain his technocrats are listening. But before I go on to the next part, I totally forgot I had to say something here, which was my colleagues, the Deputy Opposition Leader and the senior member, the Honourable Anthony Eden, is having a Children's Fun Day on Saturday, July the 27th, which is tomorrow.
Yes.
And it's focused on children ages 5 to 11, and it's going to be at the Savannah playing field from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Pedro Castle Road. Now, the purpose of that is to help with some back-to-school stuff as well as entertainment for the kids. So they'll have bouncing castles, face painting, magic show, balloon animals. Police K9 will have their dogs there for demonstration, police vehicles and fire trucks for those kids who like to see that kind of stuff, and prizes and gift bags for school supplies for children. Now, again, that is tomorrow at Savannah Playing Field on Pedro Castle Road from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. All right, that's the Children's Fun Day, and that's on behalf of the Deputy Opposition Leader, Alva Suku, and Senior Member, the Honourable Anthony Eden.
Yes.
Moving on now to some of the other questions. I put the question to the Honourable Minister for Education in respect to whether all educational costs for kids attending the government schools are free. And simply put, the answer is no. There is still some exam fees and administrative fees that are connected, but within reason in respect to the obligations. And the reason I brought this up is that I find that there are still some parents there's a small number of parents who find themselves in a difficult position where their children are just graduating from school. Those final exam fees are usually is a lot of money. Not a lot, but relative, because if you have none, even $100 is a lot. And those exam results are important for that child to move on to the next stage. Say, for instance, you graduated and you want to go out and say, well, I want to get a job now to help my mom or my daddy with the groceries and light bill and whatnot, and start to contribute. Without getting your exam results, you can't even provide to a potential employer what your passes are or what have you, ensure that you're competent. And ultimately, I know the government can't pay for everything. Though we're having a surplus, we still have to be within reason. I think we currently pay for a lot in respect to other jurisdictions across the world, as well as the other private schools in respect to our fees being a lot lower. But she gave me the commitment that she says she understands that point, because she said yesterday, she's been one of those persons that was having that difficulty when she was finished in school. Her parents didn't have the money to pay for it, so she understands it quite well. And I'm confident that she will try to find a way that make an easy mechanism available, that if there is persons out there that are in that situation, never to hinder the child from getting those results to move on simply because the family can't afford it, and which was the key purpose of my question.
Okay.
Moving on now to my next question, which was answered. Can the Honourable Minister say when does the government intend to increase the minimum wage? And this question, and the minister responsible is the Honourable Premier Alan McLaughlin. And his answer was somewhat like a minefield, because he basically didn't say when or if. He basically alluded to the fact that there is a minimum wage advisory committee who has been reestablished to investigate and inquire into all matters related and make appropriate recommendations relating to the minimum wage rates. Now, all I basically said is they're looking into it. They didn't say when they're going to come back with it, whether we're going to have one, what's the amount. And he was being tactical, because he's saying, I can't tell you what they're going to say. But the truth is, it's been a long time now, and I think with the cost of living increase has been so severe, we need to get on this, because I can understand you have to do the technical research and make those specialists in the field to examine. You can't just shoot from your hip and say, okay, it should be $10 or $15 an hour. But you have to give a timeline. It's been, over 3 years now since the minimum wage. And the initial implementation of that was on the basis that it would be at least reviewed within the next 2 years. And it's been 3 years now, and he won't even give an indication to say, well, when this review is going to come back. Is it going to come back in another year from now? And will that be 4 years from now? Is it going to be around the election time? What is it going to be? So I wasn't happy with the answer, but a senior member like the Honorable Premier, I couldn't get around him in respect to my supplementary questions. He just stuck to the script and basically said, when they come back, they come back. So sadly for the Caymanian people, we have no idea when a minimum wage is going to come or what the particular range of that amount will be. The only thing that he would commit to is that he assumes it will be a little bit more than what it would be, than it is now, due to the fact that obviously the cost of living has increased.
And of course, it's going to be a big fight with the business community.
Of course.
They're not going to want it to happen at all.
Of course.
And someone at the end of the day is going to have the gumption to stand up to them and say,
Well, I'm going to say this, and I don't mean it to be malicious, but I don't think that is his current administration or this current leader. He's never been one to be more in favor of the working class. He's been more in favor of the business class, which I totally understand. It's different styles of politics, but we're going to have to push hard on him and this administration to get this done.
Okay, I went past a commercial break that got so engrossed in the conversation. Folks, please stay tuned. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation will continue with MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan.
Have you seen the latest? Cayman has been ranked the most expensive place to live. It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Ropers Janitorial also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
I just love the warm ocean air.
Yeah? Your car doesn't.
What you mean?
Looks like salt air is eating your bumper alive.
Stop rust before it starts with Z-Bot Rust Protection from Vant Motors. The extreme heat, salt spray, and wet tropical weather can damage your vehicle and greatly decrease its value. But Z-Bot's patented formula protects your car's metal seams, joints, and other hidden areas. There's no better rust protection out there than Z-Bot. So book today and keep the rust away. Call or visit Vant Motors Body Shop on Walker's Road. Your only authorized Z-Bot service in Cayman is now available at Vant Motors.
Hey, are those new glasses on Will?
Yeah, we went to Optical Outlook. Wham, bam, easy exam. Finally, an exam he could pass. And we had the glasses the next day. Easiest part of our back-to-school shopping for sure.
Book your child's eye exam today at Optical Outlook. Call 746-2020. Get half off a complete pair of glasses with any student's eye exam now until August 31st. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook, located in Caymanian Village.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In studio with me, MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan, and as you know, he represents Georgetown Central in our Legislative Assembly, which is in session now, so obviously he has to be there for 10 o'clock, and that is assuming that it will start on time.
Yes. I don't have much expectations for that to happen. I don't think it's happened once since I've been there. But anyway, that's same old politics, so to speak. I want to move on now to the next question. We were just coming off of the last one in respect to minimum wage, and unfortunately, there is no indication as to when a new minimum wage will be established. Only update that we have there is that the MWAC, which is the Minimum Wage Advisory Committee, has been reestablished to investigate and inquire into matters relating and make up appropriate recommendation relating to minimum wage rates. So, again, I say we still don't know what it's going to be, if they're going to say, because here's the interesting part, OC. It says to identify reforms to improve the process and investigate if the minimum wage is still effective. You can read it for yourself. So when you say the word "if," does that mean you're even going to potential chance for you not to come back with?
Right, because they may come back and say
no, there's nothing. So for one, we don't know when they're going to come back. We don't know if they're even going to come back with anything. So I am not pleased with the answer, and this has nothing to do with trying to be antagonistic to the current administration. But that answer is just not comforting for me as a representative of the people of Georgetown Central and the Cayman Islands. We have to be realistic that $6 an hour at the cost of living in the Cayman Islands is it's not practical. Now, I understand that we have to make sure that we balance this appropriately to take the interests of the business community together, but we also have to consider human life and a person being able to survive on that amount. I mean, there is persons, and I personally believe it seems like slave labor, who come here on work permit and surviving in our economy on that amount with the high cost of living. I mean, we just heard another announcement. Water Authority, one of the cheapest expenses possible, has now gone up in their fees.
Yes.
So anyway, moving on to the next one, I think that the public knows that these things are real, and you can see for yourself the action or inaction of the government and make your own assumption. The next question I posed was, again, to the Honourable Premier in respect to the customs duty in respect to healthy foods. So the question said, can the Honourable Minister say if there is a classification /heading /caption of healthy goods as per the customs law and customs tariff law of the government policy, and if so, are there any planned future reductions or subsidies on import duties with respect to those items classified as healthy goods? Now, again, ultimately the answer was no. There is no such classification within the customs and tariff law. Now, I am well aware of that. I know what the law says. I did my research beforehand. But the point is I was trying to look for the opportunity to indicate whether it's something the government should consider.
Yeah. So were you allowed any supplementaries?
Yes, I was allowed supplementaries, and he was not of the view that needs to be done, because he's saying that all the healthy foods now are already greatly reduced or have no duties at all. And I said, unfortunately, it got into a little bit of politics, and I said, I didn't know that you were a nutritionist. Who are you to determine that? I think that we should leave that to the technocrats to determine that. You'd be surprised. I mean, eggs is considered healthy. They're 17%. But yet he's saying all the healthy foods. And now, there's a difference between healthy foods and staple foods. And we have to, all I'm asking them to do is to do a report, because obviously we also have to consider the local market. So I'm not suggesting we do eggs, because there's egg farmers here. But if there are markets that we're not focusing on that are considered healthy, can we incentivize by way of reduction in duties to encourage healthy eating? We heard last year the Minister of Health talk about the future obligations of health care in the hundreds of millions of dollars due to high diabetes, high blood pressure, heart attack, and stroke. And a lot of this has to do with two things: lack of exercise, that's not what we're talking about here, and healthy eating. So I'm saying that we need to be strategic as a government to find initiatives to do that, to encourage it and incentivize it financially. But obviously the government isn't even focused on that. He said and outright basically suggested that no, it's not something that they can do. They've already done enough, or the law is already giving enough duties. I don't think so, because when a bottle of water is more expensive than a soda, something's wrong with your duty ratio. So
and the other thing also is that the poor people, they have to scrape, so they're going to buy the cheapest foods, which unfortunately now are the ones that are unhealthy,
less chance of even having health insurance.
Exactly. Yeah.
And those are the ones most likely the government is going to have to create costs for Cynical to pay for.
So if you make those healthy foods more attractive by hopefully by you removing the duties, you will see that reduction in price, on the shelves.
And then they start to eat that more often. You see, this is not rocket science. I mean, and I was expecting him to say at least, well, we didn't investigate it.
Yes.
But I want you to go back and look at it yourself and see his response, because it blows my mind. He goes, no, we already have enough there. Most of the healthy foods are already duty-free. And I'm like, you're not even willing to investigate. Let's just examine it, see if there's a possibility to incentivize. But it's a matter of the type of policies and administration.
So you think this was an off-the-cuff response, or was it a written response that he had prepared?
Maybe, because sometimes the ministers are busy. The premier is a very busy man, and I sympathize with him, and I'm hoping that this was just an answer given to him for him to answer, and he hasn't really given much thought. And I really hope that the caucus of this government actually reconsiders what I said here, because there's some good potential here, not only for me as an opposition person, but for the government and for the people of the country. All I'm trying to do is this question is not political. This question is about our nation eating healthier and being responsible, because it's going to cost us money in the future. Not only money, but lives. So anyway, but politics. Politics is what it is. And I don't want to run out of time, so I'm going to go on to the next one. I probably shouldn't touch this one yet, because this one will open up a whole bag of worms and questions.
Yeah, we have about 2 minutes before we go to headline news.
Okay, so one other one, which was to the Honourable Minister Juliana O'Connor again, and this question was, how do landowners resolve disputes regarding location of boundary markers, and which government department or authority is charged with determining the location of the boundary marker? Now, ultimately, I know that information. Again, it's easy to find out, but it's an opportunity for supplementary questions. And the reason I brought it up is because we've heard of the recent problems happening in West Bay, and one of the concerns that I had was this viewpoint that even when the Register of Lands has determined right-of-ways, the police can't use that determination, that official determination by an officer, a public officer, as enough to enforce it. It has to go to court. And I think that's a recipe for disaster, because what you have is frustrated landowners not figuring out who can be considered as right or wrong until you have to go through a lengthy, costly court process. And I believe somebody is going to get hurt. If we don't fix this way to give more authority, in my view, to the definition or the determination by the lands department as to whether there's a right of way or not, that should be sufficient for the police to use as an enforcement certificate, so to speak, to deal with these matters, because they get hot and heated. So that being said, that's what that was about, and I'm hoping that the minister has suggested that they will be looking into potentially making some changes, but ultimately we have to respect the courts as the top authority on the final decision.
Okay, going to headline news, 9 o'clock. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
After consultation with stakeholders, government says it's sticking to dates it originally announced for Cayman's carnival events slated for 2020. It's been determined that the first weekend of May will host Junior Carnival, the second weekend of May, Cayman Carnival, and the third weekend, which is the Discovery Day weekend, Bracanal. North Korea has called the test of 2 new missiles on Thursday a, quote, solemn warning against what it described as South Korean warmongers. These short-range missiles were fired into the Sea of Japan, also known as the EC, from Wonsan on North Korea's eastern coast. Leader Kim Jong-un said his country was forced to develop weapons to, quote, eliminate potential and direct threats. He said the test involved a new tactical guided weapon system. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas says the Palestinians will no longer abide by previous agreements made with Israel. His announcement followed an emergency meeting after Israel razed Palestinian buildings it said were illegally built on the edge of Jerusalem. Israel has yet to respond. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me is Mr. Brian. Mr. Brian just stepped out briefly to take a phone call. So I have a WhatsApp message that I want to read as well. This one has to do with traffic, and we probably will talk about this at some point in time during the show as well, because I've heard the conversation taking place several times before, even here on Radio Cayman and on Sterling Dwayne Banks' show talk today as well, and says, morning, OC, I think the locations of the pedestrian crossing need a rethink. One, there is no clear view until you are exiting the roundabout. 2, cars approaching the roundabout are slower than they exit. Plus the drivers have a better view and more time to react. For those of you who have been on the roads, for instance, the Cayman National Bank roundabout, there are 2 pedestrian crosswalks. The one heading towards the north, towards Compass Way, extremely dangerous. Normally, if you're coming around that roundabout, you're going to be traveling at least 15, maybe even 20 miles an hour. And as soon as you make the turn to head to the north, there's a crosswalk right there. If there's a pedestrian and there's no light for the traffic to stop, or for the pedestrian, there's no button for the pedestrian to press so that a light can come on for the pedestrian to stop. Even if there were, what you don't want to happen, or I don't think you would want to happen when you're talking about traffic control, is for vehicles to have to stop suddenly on a roundabout. I know and I understand what the designers were looking at, and I think that they're looking at the convenience for the pedestrian. They're looking at the convenience for the pedestrian. But why not have it a little further down, maybe halfway down the block, so that, yes, the inconvenience means that a pedestrian may have to walk a little further down if they're coming from the shopping plaza that is there. But then you also are accommodating the person who's coming from towards the Beatman, what's colloquially known as Beatman's gas station. Person coming from there doesn't have to go all the way down to cross the 4 lanes of traffic as well. But it is certainly dangerous, and if you're driving on it and you notice right away if there's someone walking across that crosswalk and you're on that roundabout heading north, you're gonna have to stop extremely suddenly for it. Very dangerous. I think that they need to do a rethink of this. It has been mentioned before. I have not seen or heard anyone from the National Roads Authority addressing the issue, and it would be useful if we could hear what their thinking is in relation to it and whether or not they intend to have those crosswalks as close to the roundabout as to have them remain as close to the roundabouts as they are, or whether or not they intend to change them. I think we have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Orrett Connor.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Okay, and you there alone?
Mr. Bryan is back in the studio, sir.
Yes, good morning to MLA, Mr. Kenneth Bryan also.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, I have a question to you both.
Go right ahead.
If you all had $100 million in the bank, how much a year interest would the bank give you all for keeping that money in their bank?
I guess it depends on the bank and the arrangements and when you do the fixed rate interest rate. But usually, I think, what is that, 3.2 or something like that?
It depends on where you put it too. If you put it on a fixed deposit, you're likely to get a little bit more. Right now, in terms of savings, the interest rate is extremely low. You know, it's not a consumer's market now.
No.
Well, if it was in a fixed deposit, by making just a guess, what do you think it would be?
I wouldn't hazard a guess.
Yeah, I would still be setting myself up for failure if I did that.
If you have a point, just let's come to it for me, please.
Yes, I'm coming to that, Mr. Orrett. Well, if the government starts to collect concessions, and right now they've gone over hundreds of millions of dollars worth of concessions that they have given away. If they had taken that money and put it in the bank, and if they start now to do so while construction and development is at its highest, if they start to put this money in the bank and put it into a bank account and start collecting interest off this money, then they will be able to contribute to our Caymanians people's pensions after they retire. And not only towards our Caymanians pensions, people with their pensions after they retire, but they will also be able to contribute to people's health insurance. And also, they will be able, this money will also be able to help build our trade schools in each district as we need at this time. I don't understand why government has so many educated people working with them. And this money that belongs to us, the people, they're giving it away, knowing that this money, hundreds of millions, they've gone over $1 billion now in concessions they've given away. If this money had been put in a bank account and they were collecting interest off this money already, and it's not too late. It's not too late to do so. But if they were collecting interest off of this money, like I said, it's been over $1 billion now. And if they do so, start doing that from now, decades to come, they will have enough money in the bank to help take care of our Caymanians after they retire. Because right now, like I said before, and I'll say it again, if each Caymanian right now today retires with $100,000 in the bank, and they're giving $1,100 a month, and that's nothing. Some people might need $2,000 a month, but if they're giving $1,100 a month, in 7 years, that $100,000 will be finished. That's why the government needs to start collecting these concessions, putting this money in the bank. After we have $2-3 billion in the bank off of concessions and collecting interest off of this money, our Caymanian people would not have to worry about pension after they retire, and not just today, I'm talking about 40, 50 years from today.
So caller, you're advocating for a welfare state?
A welfare state?
Yeah, welfare state. Yeah,
explain that to me, Mr.
where the government is expected to take care of everybody, rather than us. Sometimes, at least those who have the wherewithal to take care of themselves, to do that, rather than becoming dependent on the government. Because if you start to create a culture of dependency, once you start to create that monster is always going to be there.
I have a question for you now, Mr. Orrett Connor. Do you think it's fair to be giving away Caymanians people money that we could be going towards our pensions for multi-millionaires and billionaires who don't have to worry about a pension? Do you think that's fair?
No, but I just don't agree with your approach to it. Now, I know that you're extremely passionate about this because you constantly call and talk about it, but I don't necessarily agree with your solution to it. You seem to think that the government is responsible for everyone. There are those who are vulnerable in our society, those who don't have the wherewithal, and those are the ones that the government. But you make comments like every person, and I realize that you're just discussing it on the radio. I just don't agree with your solution to it. That's all.
Well, Mr. Orrett Connor, I just have this to say, and then I'll hang up. If the government takes that approach, or governments to come take that approach, they just don't care about our Caymanian people, or they're very stupid. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller. We have another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C., and good morning to Kenneth.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
I didn't get a chance to thank Mr. Saunders and Mr. Sakul and Kenneth himself 3 Fridays ago for coming down here in West Bay. I guess they've seen a little bit of what I was talking about. I just wanted for our representatives to see, because it seems like our representatives down here don't see these things. They cross it, but they don't see it. And I just wanted to thank them very much. They have the attitude that, okay, I'm a representative of Central, I'm a representative of Bordentown, but I am a representative of the Cayman Islands people. And I thank you all very much. Now, getting to pedestrian crossing and stuff, I think more is needed on Harbor Drive, between Harbor Drive and Shedden Road. We need some more, not only pedestrian crossing, but at least lights, because we got hundreds of people coming off of these ships practically every day and stuff like that. I would also like to see that government put some pressure on some of the restaurants and some of the drugstores or pharmacies to get handicap railings and things like that, especially restaurants and especially the fast food restaurants. It's not a day go by or every other day that I'm not helping somebody up steps to a drugstore or to fast food. Not saying that I'm on the road all the time, but I'm a passionate person about those kind of things, because they didn't ask to be handicapped. So they should put the pressure on these businesses to do what is right. Again, I thank you for taking my call. Again, I thank Mr. O.C. Always good show on doing as well. Radio Cayman to me is the best. I enjoy listening to it, and I thank both of you. Have a good weekend, and God bless us all.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, Ms. Bryan.
Thank you so much, O.C. Firstly, I want to say thanks to the last caller in respect to her acknowledgement about myself, Alva, and Christopher Saunders. We do see our representation not only to our single constituencies, but to the whole 3 Cayman Islands and every single district, regardless of it's not the district that we represent. But I also want to highlight that Mr. Bernie Bush was involved in our examination of some of the problems that she highlighted to us. Bernie does work tremendously hard in West Bay. I know that there are always going to be somebody that says different, because I have the same situation in Cayman and in Georgetown Central. You can't get to every single person, but you try your hardest. And I know that I want to give support to Bernie, because he does work hard, and he jumped at the gun in respect to coming to investigate what we were told by the lovely caller just now. So I want to say thank you so much for the call and the support.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. Do we have any callers on hold now as well? No callers. Commercial break. When we return, the conversation with MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan will continue.
Have you seen the latest? Cayman has been ranked the most expensive place to live. It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Ropers Janitorial also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Have you ever felt that there is something bigger out there for you? Something more positive, something more powerful, something all good, something bigger than yourself? Do you want to give back to this community? Your community? Together, Rotary Central, Rotary Sunrise, and the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman are hosting a membership meet and greet social Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. Come along. Bring a friend. Find out what Rotary is all about, what Rotary is doing in your community. So, see you there, Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. We're looking forward to meeting you. Rotary, connecting the world.
At Logic, we make things better for our customers. It's why we're offering free Boost Wi-Fi. With Boost, you get improved Wi-Fi connectivity everywhere in your home. So, there's no more dead zones. The only people we're not making this better for is parents. Because now with seamless Wi-Fi in every room in your home, go to your room isn't really the punishment it used to be. Sorry about that. Sign up now for any Logic Bundle package and get free Boost Wi-Fi for a limited time. Visit logic.ky for details.
Excuse me, I noticed you from afar.
Really? Me?
Well, not you. The KFC sandwich you're eating?
Oh, Zinger.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, it's called the Zinger Sandwich. Crunchy, juicy, 100% chicken breast, crisp lettuce, sweet mayo on a seeded bun with a little zing. KFC's chicken is not factory breaded, frozen and refried like the Burger Boys. Customize your KFC Zinger and dip it in barbecue sauce.
Wow, now I'm starting to notice you too.
KFC, it's finger licking good.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, MLA Mr. Kenneth Brand. I just want to read one of the messages that we received from our listeners. And this one says, property rights enforcement is selective in Cayman. Every week on 7 Mile Beach, born Caymanians are asked to leave the beach as properties claim they are infringing on their property. In some instances, security and police are called to enforce this action, and they do so. However, when a Caymanian needs access to his home over a legal easement, the police and other authorities fail to enforce the right of access for that born Caymanian. We lose faith in law enforcement when they fail to be consistent in enforcing the law. And I think in this particular case, where that this writer is talking about, the police have said that they're not in a position to enforce a decision by the land registry. I believe that's the case. We have two callers, but I'll let you respond first, Mr. Bryan.
Quickly to say that I understand the concern of police officers' lack of ability to enforce, but it's not mainly their fault. They can only enforce court orders or clearly defined violations of the law. And if they do otherwise than that, they can find themselves in problems. But they can be good mitigators. And what I think, and I'm going to actually, it just came to my mind based on what the person that commented said, is that I'm going to encourage, first investigate the police department as to how much training do the average police officer have in respect to land disputes and right-of-ways. And if it's not adequate enough, in my view, I'm going to encourage the police commissioner, not that I have the authority to tell him that, but potentially through the governor's office to say, maybe it's a good time to have a proper presentation or conference for all police officers as to how the laws work, how to best solve these things so that they don't become heated. And if a Caymanian is at the beach and they call a police officer down, and just a random one, has he actually even read the right-of-ways law? I mean, in the lands law, does he have an understanding of it? Because that's a very sensitive, naturalistic position.
Does it appear then that he's taken instructions from the property owner
rather than the right? Yeah. So ultimately, I think if we better inform the enforcers of our laws, which is the police department, we can help with this problem, because it's a very sensitive topic. It can create a national crisis, and it can make the matter worse, particularly for those condo owners and developers. You don't want to get to a stage where Cayman people are fed up now, and then they elect legislators who are going to take a hardball approach. So I think a positive note is encourage police officers to be able to better mitigate, and landowners and residents who have the rights to access to the lands that they should have access to. That argument is debated properly. So I think I'm going to try to encourage the police department to do that one way or the other.
The funny thing is that it is not restricted to Cayman. Turks and Caicos having the same problem. Independent Barbados having the same issue with it. Several Eastern Caribbean countries, which brings me to the question, what is it that our lawmakers have done or haven't done that allows us to be at this stage? Now, we heard about the history of what occurred in the Cayman Islands, and that there was a particular legislator who had interests on the breach, and as a result, we ended up with the high water mark the way it is. Why can't we go about changing that? And what's happening within the Caribbean, that is all of these Caribbean islands.
Money.
And loss of control as well. Let's grab the two callers. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning again.
Good morning again, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I must apologize to Mr. Bernie Bush because when I called him, he answered, and he took time to talk to me, even though he was in a meeting. What I asked him about and what was my request didn't get done, but at least Bernie took the time to talk to me, and that made me feel really good. Now, Caymanians, now that the children is out of school and things like that, not all of us can afford to travel with our families and things like that. We want to go to the beach, and especially that 7 Mile beach. Condos and hotels have not left us with a beach access. And I think that the law need to be enforced, not even a right of way. Some of them even have gates across the beach access. There is one across the beach access on Balgasan Road. I could go on and on. It need to be enforced, and if it is not enforced, that is what gets Caymanian heated, that we cannot even get to the beach. And what an example that is for our younger ones. So the law needs to be enforced, and if it is not enforced, it's going to cause a lot of problems.
I agree.
A lot of problems. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you very
much.
much.
Good day to you.
Before we take the next caller, Osi, if I can quickly just say this. I can promise you any government that I'm going to be a part of, you'll see a drastic change in respect to how we handle right-of-ways. It's a very sensitive topic, and if we don't address this now, it's going to get harder and harder and harder to deal with. So if the Lord sees it fit, if the people of Georgetown Central give me a second opportunity and I become a part of a government, I can promise you it will be a priority to go across this island and find those right-of-way and establish by a public media campaign that this is something serious, that we take serious on behalf of our people, and make it clear to all landowners, not to undermine them in any way, but our right to access to what is our cultural right is not going to be impeded on. It has to be sold to every investor who comes here, those landowners who have bought and rent on the property. We have to make sure that is clear in a professional, appropriate, pleasant and respectful way, but it has to be a clear, hard line. I don't think this administration is the type of administration that would be willing to do that. But if I'm a part of one, the next time around, one of the prerequisites for me to be a part of that is their commitment to make sure we outline that from the get-go. So that's my point in that, and we can go to the next caller.
Can't be much clearer in terms of what your position is or not. Let's take the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. For the Record.
Morning, Doc. How are you?
Good morning to your guest, Mr. Connor July.
Good morning, Dr. Macfield.
I would just like to make a few comments.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
The first one I would like to make is a comment about land use and easement. There are two kinds of right-of-ways. There's private right-of-ways and the public right-of-ways.
Okay.
Private right-of-ways are the easements over land A for the benefit of land B.
Mm-hmm.
That is a private right-of-way, and it's subject to private law. And the police really has nothing to do with that.
Got you.
If two neighbors have problems with that, they need to go to the court to sort that out. Because that's right-of-way from land to land. It's not a public right-of-way.
Mm-hmm.
Public right-of-ways are in Cayman Islands right now, are most of them, the significant ones are defined by the 1882 prescription law that says that if you have been using a right-of-way, and this is related to beaches for 20 years on the strip, and it was for swimming, bathing, fishing, recreation, and all picnics and all that kind of stuff that you have, and it's indefeasible right to use that right-of-way.
Mm-hmm.
That is the public right-of-way. But the police will have a hard time enforcing that right-of-way because the government has refused to register those right-of-ways on the island's map.
Mm-hmm.
To force them. That's the problem. with the people who are dealing with those right-of-ways now, Ms. Esther Smith and all those people. The registrar of land has not registered those right-of-ways as public right-of-ways. They're only designated as public right-of-ways or declared to be public right-of-ways under the prescription law. But that's all the government has done. And the reason why you have all of this in the Caribbean is because when the tourist dollar comes and you're trying to make the dollar, you sell the land, you tell them that they own the beach too. That is what has happened all over because successful. When you are the recipient of aid or money from people that you accept as being superior to you because they have more economic benefits, that's what you do to them. You bend to them and you bow down to them, and then they take advantage. And so that's the problem now with command. And one of the reasons why it's called is because what Kenneth just said. I am happy to hear that some young people will decide to do what is right and to design those, to designate those right-of-ways and put them on the map as public right-of-ways that the police can then enforce the right to the public to use those right-of-ways and to go back to what the beach is that the owners adjacent to the beach only own the land up to the vegetation mark.
Yep.
So, and the other point I would like to make is what you said earlier about the roadway driving.
Yes, sir.
Now, let me just say, case law has stated that a driver's license is not a right. A driver's license is a privilege. And so you don't have to grant driver's license to everybody. And especially people who come from countries who've never driven before. You don't have to do that. You see? And secondly, in other most countries, like the countries that I'm used to and that I had experience with is Canada, they have separate what they call highway patrols, police highways. They're different from the policeman who investigates a crime, a break-in, or a burglary, or a theft. And they do this to supervise the highways, and they do that by having highway stations around the highway, and by cars, and by motorcycles that they can move in and out of traffic to catch people who are breaking the traffic law. We are so far behind, and our priorities are not to regulate a modern society, but to regulate each other and to destroy each other, and that is the problem. And that is the reason why we have all of these problems in such a small country, because our priorities are stuff. Because, for instance, what the priority is for a country is health and prosperity. And when you have a thing like trash mold, a time bomb with all of the wealth around it, that tells you. It reminds me of what a professor told me one time. A man can build a mansion for $10 million, but then what is the value of the mansion when he goes and put a $25,000 furniture in it? So that's the problem that we have. We have that we are not enough to say no when it's to say no, and to say yes when it's to say yes, and to say that we made a mistake and that we need to revisit what we did to come to the mistake that we made. And unless we have men with guts and grit, the country is going to go just like how it is going right now. And that's what I would like to say this morning.
Thank you very much, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you very much. Hopefully, see you on Wednesday. And enjoy your weekend as well. We're going to take a commercial break now, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Sometimes having a middleman is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to insurance. Do you know that when it comes to cost, ease, speed, and peace of mind, insurance brokers ranked higher than when customers buy direct? So, For all your insurance needs, call Fidelity Insurance. We're the middleman you want. Call us today at 949-7822. Fidelity. We're good for you.
Hey Cayman, this is Caitlin Tyson, your Miss Cayman Islands Universe 2018. It's that time again, so come out and meet your favorite contestants at this year's sashing ceremony. Each of the ladies will have the chance to connect with you and share their personal stories featuring their sponsors. Friday, the 26th, starting at 6:30 p.m. at Grand Old House. Admission is free. We'll be unveiling all of this year's sponsors for the 2019 Miss Cayman Islands Universe contestants. Mix, mingle, and show your support for your district. We hope to see you there.
Remember to discard all fresh fruits and vegetables, meats, all foods in canisters, dented, leaking, or rusting cans after they have come in contact with floodwater. Also, discard foods that are stored in cardboard boxes, paper foil, cellophane, and cloth, as well as those in open containers and packages. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I want to make a few comments in terms of what Dr. McPhail spoke about. And Mr. Bryan still has some of the matters in the Legislative Assembly that he wants to present to us as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to close the phone lines off at this point in time. Now, two things Dr. McPhail said that, many things that he said were instructive, but these two were particularly instructive. The one in relation to case law and the fact that driver's license is a privilege as opposed to a right.
That was interesting.
And, we can't certainly compare ourselves to the United States, but when you look at the United States after 9/11, in terms of their restriction on driver's license, you have to show that you're a resident. You can't just go to another state and apply for a driver's license to take a test or something like that. There are stringent measures in place to ensure that you have an entitlement to a driver's license by being a legal resident there. The second one has to do with the traffic situation and, talking about the fact that, we're building a modern society, but we're not necessarily having things in place. I believe that we need to have full-time road traffic officers out there on the road now. We're building more roads. We're building more roundabouts. We're widening the roads. We're giving the operators of vehicles on the road access and the ability to do more, but to do it more freely because there's no enforcement out there when they break the rules. And again, I keep insisting that some people say that government shouldn't be making money off the backs of people. But if you're out there breaking the law in terms of the speed limit, parking in the wrong place, driving carelessly, then you should be fine. If it means, it happens to me, so be it. If I'm breaking the law, that's the case. That is money that we can take and we can ring fence it for something, in terms of those fines that are imposed on drivers and everything else. But here we are improving our road network, but less and less enforcement. We need to have a permanent traffic unit out there on the roads, and there are specific times that you can target that you can be out there as well. You don't necessarily have to be out there 24 hours. You want to see cars drifting towards that white line or that yellow line in the middle of the road. Friday nights or any weeknight, any time after between 8 and 11 o'clock at night.
And it would bring down the traffic collisions and all the other negative effects.
Exactly.
But you know something? You highlighted a strong argument altogether. But I think it's even more important that we do that now, because what we're starting to see is this build-up of a habitual behavior of bad traffic driving in this country. And if you leave a person doing a bad habit for too long, it will fester and it becomes the norm. And I must say, Cayman has always been by our nature, pleasant people, and we were always cautious about other drivers. We would let people out in the road. Those kinds of behaviors, they're slowly disappearing and being replaced with really nasty habits. Aggressive. And we have to nip that in the bud from now, because we're building a first world nation, and we having drivers behave like third world countries, and it's not good. And the way you do that is not enforced. When you say enforcement, don't think of it as a negative connotation, but more of a navigator to say, listen, this is how we operate, this is how we do it, and the expectations is built over time that maybe you might need those offers anymore. But again, you need thinkers out of the box to see these problems. I think what we'll end up doing if we don't do anything about it is we're trying to think about skyscrapers and these news networks of drivers, and then we're just going to have a third world country set of drivers
and chaos on the roads. Yes. Yeah.
So, OC, I agree with what you said. I want to get back to the parliamentary things, and I think before I run out of time, I want to get to the most important one first. It's the statement by the Honourable Minister of Sports. And I want to say, first things first, congratulations to our athletes. Over 70 athletes went away to Gibraltar.
All right. Island Games.
And I'm going to wear this proudly because I feel so good. Right? Anyway, each and every one of you athletes, thank you so much for standing for us. When you stood and you worked so hard and you did so well, you stood for me as well. But I think even though the minister did an amazing job highlighting how great they did on the floor of the House, I want to add to it. So just for those who may not be aware, the Cayman Islands sent to the Island Games, which was in Gibraltar. We sent over 70 athletes just recently, and we all participated in many different types of sports, from athletics, basketball, beach volleyball, cycling, sailing, shooting, squash, swimming, table tennis, and regular tennis. And of the 6 days of competitions, medals were won by Cayman Islands athletes in 6 out of the 10 sports. And a total number of, let me see, where is the total number of medals that we got? 30 medals, 11 gold, 10 silver, and 9 bronze were won by our athletes, putting Cayman in 7th place in the medal table out of 22 countries. Okay. That is an amazing job well done by our athletes. Trust me, I think that historically, this is probably the best we've ever done at any major event. And I'm so proud. I went to the function last night at the... not the Wharf, what's the other restaurant called there in South Sound? Grand Old House. And the government did a good job in celebrating them, and they had a little function, food and drinks and discussions and mingling, and they deserved it so much. And I want to say congratulations to the Minister of Sports and her team in the ministry, her chief officers, her civil servants that work under her, and particularly those in sport who help organize, took care of kids when they went over there, made sure that they were prepared, made sure they had everything, and then after doing so well, coming back and celebrating them, you deserve the credit and congratulations, not only to the sports but everybody else who was behind it, and to the parents.
We're going to take a commercial break, and then this will be our last commercial break for the morning, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
I just love the warm ocean air.
Yeah? Your car doesn't.
What you mean?
Looks like salt air is eating your bump alive.
Stop rust before it starts with Z-Bot Rust Protection from Vant Motors. The extreme heat, salt spray, and wet tropical weather can damage your vehicle and greatly decrease its value. But Z-Bot's patented formula protects your car's metal seams, joints, and other hidden areas. There's no better rust protection out there than Z-Bot. So book today and keep the rust away. Call or visit Vant Motors Body Shop on Walker's Road. Your only authorized Z-Bot service in Cayman is now available at Vant Motors.
Have you ever felt that there is something bigger out there for you? Something more positive, something more powerful, something all good, something bigger than yourself? Do you want to give back to this community, your community? Together, Rotary Central, Rotary Sunrise, and the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman are hosting a membership meet and greet social Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. Come along. bring a friend. Find out what Rotary is all about, what Rotary is doing in your community. So, see you there, Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. We're looking forward to meeting you. Rotary, connecting the world.
Radio Cayman 11 a.m. News Headlines is brought to you by Savannah Pharmacy.
Savannah Pharmacy, just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
Stay updated with the very latest news from Cayman, the region, and around the world. The 11 o'clock headlines, brought to you by
Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Cayman is going to Carfesta 2019 this summer. Get a sneak peek preview of all performances we'll be doing in Trinidad. 2 weekends only at the Hartwell Theatre. Music and dance shows on Saturday the 20th of July and Sunday the 21st of July. The touching play, Downside Up, written by Frank McPhail on Saturday, July 27th and Sunday, July 28th. Tickets are just $25 per person per show. Purchase at Foster's Airport and Strand, Funky Tangs, Healthcare Pharmacy Grand Harbor, the CNCF office, and online at eventpro.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning, MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan, who represents Georgetown Central in our Legislative Assembly. And I know Mr. Bryan has to go to the LA as well. And of course, the show will finish at 10 o'clock also. Mr. Bryan.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. I'll be quick. I just want to cover one last thing that I think is very important on behalf of my colleague, Mr. Christopher Saunders, the elected member for Bontown West. Mm-hmm. He put a question into the Honorable Attorney General in respect to the consumer protection bill that is supposed to be coming to the to our house to have discussions, and that was triggered for public consumption and do a preparation paper through the Law Reform Commission for public consumption in 2017, with the hopes to have it finished in January of this year. As a result, the Law Reform Commission is doing another round of public consultation because stakeholders have requested that to make sure that they have the right balance of a response from all stakeholders in respect to creating a consumer protection guarantees bill. Now, you can imagine that's going to be a rather controversial bill because you're talking about protecting the rights of persons, the pricing of things, but it has a lot of effect on the business community. So they've requested to do another round of it, and obviously the Attorney General has highlighted the fact that they've agreed to that. In his closing answer, just to give you a summary, the ultimate goal of the Commission, Mr. Speaker, is to present to the government a workable proposal which strikes a balance between safeguarding the interests of the consumer in matters relating to supply of goods and services and avoiding imposition and additional burdens on reputable business enterprises. So that summarizes why there is now extended another round of public discussion. I wish it can come quicker, but I understand where you're coming from. You don't want to get this bill wrong. But the reason I brought it up is because I know that this matter is a very important matter to my colleague from Bontown West. He's concerned about the Consumer Protection and Guarantees Bill. So am I, and all of us, but he's led the charge on this. Sure. So I want to highlight that because it's a very important one I think the public is interested in.
Yeah, and while you want to create that balance, you have to realize that when the public is spending their money, making their investments in the business community, it is their hard-earned money that they have spent and as well. So they have an expectation and hopefully in some respects a legal right to expect a certain level of service or a certain quality of product, and the business community has to ensure that they do that as well. I just want to say, last night I was listening to replay, and I listened to Mr. Saunders, and when he detailed the plight of one lady in terms of one of the societies, the building societies here in the Cayman Islands, and the loss of her property. And he was quite clear and quite adamant in terms of that. I can't call names on here. He could call the names in the Legislative Assembly because he has parliamentary privilege. But I hope people get an opportunity to listen to that, because one of the things that we want to ensure is that when these foreign entities come to the Cayman Islands, that they don't come with some of the habits that they, from their countries of origin, and think that they're going to do the same thing in the Cayman Islands that they do there as well. Speaking of that,
what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you because I want to get there on time for 10 o'clock. So thank you
At least
so
you
much
can say that you're on time.
Exactly.
The other.
Thank you so much for the show.
Thanks for being here.
Wish you all the
Thanks
best
for being here, as well. Speaking of entities, I know that there has been discussion. People have been conjecturing as to whether or not China Harbor Engineering Company is one of the proposed bidders for the cruise port project, and whether or not that is so, we don't know. I think that I've heard in some quarters it denied that they're not going to be they're not a preferred bidder. An incident took place in Jamaica, and I'm going to read from the Jamaica Gleaner. This is a follow-up article that was in there a few days ago, and it's the article is entitled Czech CHE, with China Harbor Engineering Company, moves to pay injured workers in negligence suit. And it says here, China Harbor Engineering Company says it has moved to pay judgment debts to 2 former workers who were injured on the job. Barrington Wollaston, a laborer, and Tomoy Williams, a truck driver, both 38. Lost it. Got to find it. Both 38. Years old of Claremont St. address, had sued Czech for negligence after they were injured in 2 incidents in April 8th and October 18, 2015, while employed to the Chinese company. Czech did not contest the lawsuit, and last month the Supreme Court ordered that it pay $6 million to Wollaston and $3.8 million to Williams. Their lawyer, John Jacobs, had raised concern that the company has not acted on the court order. In a statement today, Czech stated that it has not outrightly refused to pay the men, indicating that the first of the payments to Wollaston was processed on Friday, July 19th, to be transferred to Jacobs. The company further said that it is working to provide the monies owed to Williams in very short order. And the article goes on to say that when contacted by the Gleaner, Jacobs said that up to 3 p.m. in this afternoon, that was yesterday, he did not receive any money on behalf of Wollaston. Czech spokesman Kamisha Anderson, in clarifying the matter, told the Gleaner that the company had received approval to pay the sums and is now in the process of making the transfer. Now, what isn't said in this article was they did mention the judgment that was rendered by the courts in this particular case. But what isn't mentioned in this article was that the lawyers and the 2 injured men went back to the court, or were going to the courts, to have China Harbor Engineering Company declared bankrupt as a result of their inability or their refusal to pay the judgment, to honor the judgment that was there. And it appears as if only by taking that action, that China Harbor Engineering then moved to rectify the issue. I just wanted to bring that to your attention because one of the things that we want to do when trying to attract business to the Cayman Islands is that we want to ensure that those businesses are going to be good corporate citizens. And yes, everyone has the right to legally address issues and to contest issues, but you also have the right to recognize the judgment of the court. So in this particular case, based on my readings and the previous articles that were published in relation to this particular case, it seems as if the company only responded in a positive and favorable light after the lawyers and the injured parties sought to have China Harbor Engineering Company declared bankrupt. Just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thought it may be an interesting article that you, especially those of you who may have concerns here in the Cayman Islands. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dweedy Mikes at 12:15 for Talk today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands. And God willing, I will be with you again on Monday.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.